State your name and address for our recording secretary, and then present any information that you have or comments about your request, and be prepared to respond to any questions that the members of the commission may have of you. And number one item on our agenda is the roll call. If our secretary will take that, please.
Dave Jones,
Here.
Greg Gallagher,
Here.
Jamie Simmons,
Here.
Natasha Crabb. No. Danny Gordon,
Here.
Randy Henry,
Here.
and Carmen Moore. Here.
Okay. We have 6 members present and 1 absent, so we have a quorum today. Do any of these commissioners have a conflict of interest with any of the agenda items or any ex parte communications to declare?
Yeah, I do number 5.
Okay. All right.
I'll present for it.
Do what?
I'll present for that one.
Yeah, let's see, looks like we're going to have to. Well, number 2 is the adoption of the summarized minutes. Is there any discussion or any corrections that need to be made to those minutes?
Was there a February meeting?
No. Okay, if not, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I'll second it.
I move to approve it. Randy seconds.
Oh, okay. We have a motion and second then to approve the minutes. If you favor this, would you please say aye?
Aye.
And any opposed by the same sign? Okay. Then item number 3, I think we're going to have to overlook right now because she's not present.
Well, I've got her on the phone.
Okay, so she can hear us? All right, we'll go ahead then with item number 3. We need to hear from her about her name and address and request.
All right, so, helps to turn that on. So, Natasha Crabb, and I think some of y'all talked to her in February when we were supposed to meet. She has purchased a home at 2108 Ash, and she is repairing the windows and the brickwork on the exterior of the home. This is the home. It's in the middle of the block between 21st and 22nd. This is the home now. Sanborn map from 1924. In 2014, this home was gutted by a fire. I have spoken to Roger Douglas, the building official, and it is his opinion that most of it can't be saved. The windows and all that there's no way to save them and repair them. This is the dining room, sunroom. I'm personally impressed that Natasha even took on this project. The windows, there's brick damage on the outside from the fire. There's also brick here that doesn't match. So at least part of this is not original brick. There's a wall that's collapsing. Now, this is her vision, this German smear. Now, normally, we are highly, highly against painting brick that's never been painted. But because this brick doesn't match, and part of it's not original brick, this may not be a bad option for that. Because the brick, it's not original, it doesn't match anyway. And this is her vision for it. So, do y'all have any questions for me, or I've got her on speakerphone here?
Well, if I understand what's in the packet correctly, that's not actually paint. It's like
A plaster?
yeah.
Natasha?
Yes,
So Jamie's question is, the German smear, it's not actually paint, it's like a plaster?
No, it is going to be like a whitewash.
Okay, so it would be paint and not like the plaster.
The maintenance on that is better than the mortar itself.
Okay. Thank you.
So lime is not, isn't there a process that uses lime? Am I wrong, Natasha?
Jamie, you're gonna have to repeat it
Okay.
because she's cutting in and
Carmen's
out.
question was, is there not a process that uses lime for the same effect?
Not on this brick because of the condition, and I had a Sherwin-Williams paint specialist come out and look with me, and this was the best avenue to take. There was a lot of damage and erosion, I guess you could say.
Commissioners have any other questions?
Yeah, I had talked to Natasha last meeting we had, so she gave me permission to walk around the house. And of course, the windows, the glass is broken in a lot of windows, so you can look in. And I don't understand why anyone would have told her the windows, I'm sure the windows where the fire was are ruined. But even in the dining room, which is beside the living room, those windows have a little bit of black soot on them. But I even grabbed a hold of them and pulled on them. I took my fingernails.
Well,
I found that they were probably better than most houses in this.
so I probably
Okay.
misspoke. Roger's opinion was the windows that were burnt could not be saved.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's probably two in the living room. And then the porch might not have even been original anyways. They're just arches. I had a house like that and they were just built in as like a little screened-in porch. But they could be taken out and rebuilt or just let it open. But the living room is charred, I'm sure, just like she showed. But the rest of the house, I saw, just the paint's gone. And it'd be easy to scrape and repaint.
Yeah.
And replace the glass. And that big window you saw, it's already been removed, right there. But, I mean, that may not be original, but that's definitely an old window that filled that gap. Whatever that was, I don't know what that room was used for.
Yeah, and the only pictures I can find of this house are the pictures from the news article where it burnt. Natasha? Greg's question was that it appeared, he said he had gone over and walked around the house with your permission, and he said it appeared some of the windows were salvageable. Some of them obviously were completely destroyed in the fire, but some of them still appeared to be fairly sturdy and salvageable. I mean, what is your plan or your thought for replacing all the windows, saving the ones that can be saved?
Well, as far as cosmetic and, having some uniform to the home, they're all going to be replaced. And in doing so, they are going to go back as close as we can to the design of what is there. But when you go inside the home, it's a different story when you see the windows from inside versus the outside. Some are not as bad as others, but, this home has been empty for many, many, many years. And it's had, enormous amount of abuse from just the elements and also vandalism.
Well, I mean, my thinking was that if the two windows are damaged in the living room, you could take two from the back of the house, put in the front, and they would all be uniform. There'd be no reason to replace all the windows. I mean, we are members of the Historic Commission. If we don't set a standard for the community, how do we expect anyone else to do the right thing? Those windows they're not damaged. The paint's off of them, they're scorched. Sand them and repaint them. My house sat empty for 40 years. I salvaged them. You make do. We are in a historic district. You do your best to maintain that. And putting vinyl windows in an old house is not going to do that. Of course, it would look better. They all would look better. But then what's the point of us being here?
So Natasha, Greg's statement was that as a Historic District Commission, we are tasked with preserving the historic integrity of the buildings, and what would be the possibility of taking two of the windows from the back of the house and putting them in the front to replace the damaged windows, and then you would have some uniformity in the front of the house.
Well, I certainly appreciate integrity in older homes, as my life story would show that. I think everybody knows that about me. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to get on the commission. But this particular home, we went back and forth. I had people from Little Rock come to look at the windows. So we exhausted a lot of resources. But at the end, it was going to be the best way, and that's what we're doing, is the replacement, because of the information that we gathered and the cost. I'd much rather save the house than to have it, in the end, to be, bulldozed down. Nobody wants that. I sure don't. So that's where we are.
Okay.
Quite frankly, this house is pretty much a rebuild, as anyone can drive by and see. It's not just a little bit of paint and a little bit of fix up here. I mean, it's completely a rebuild. So in order to save it, we do have to look at cost. And that's really, where we are.
Natasha, can you talk a little bit about what the windows are that you're planning to put in there? Are they vinyl? Are they?
They're going to be a white, trim out, and the design is going to be as close as the original windows are right now as far as the trim on them. The side porch is actually where I was told the fire started, with those arches. And so we're going to have a carpenter go back with the same, you can see in some of the pictures, the wood, the trim, to make it look like it was, with new, wood molding. But of course we have to incorporate a way to be able to heat and cool that space. And so some of the glass is going to be a little bit different at the bottom, but it's going to look very much the same as it was as far as the wood trim out on those.
What does that mean, the heating and cooling at the bottom, the glass?
Carmen asked if you could elaborate on what you meant by the glass being different in the bottom related to heating and cooling it.
Well, to my knowledge, that was not heating and cooling as far as back in the day, as far as the livable space. And that's going to be a home office. And so the glass at I don't know if you can see it in that picture, at the very bottom, will be like a solid piece, if you will.
But it won't be glass.
Are these jalousies? Is that what these are? I don't
They're
know.
just louvers, I believe.
I'm sorry?
I think they're just metal louvers on there.
It looks like just louvers. I don't think they're operational.
It would seem like it would have been.
Those are old. If you're speaking of the louver screens, those are metal, and I guess they had those on, to be able to protect from the sun and elements. But the crank on those, of course, they've been long gone as far as working,
So
which was very nice back in the day. My gosh, I can
So-
imagine how nice that would have been.
So this house has been vacant since 14?
As far as, oh, yes.
So I've spent my entire life in the construction industry. And if you was to give me this house, I would probably run from this house. So I'm going to just take my hat off to Natasha for taking on this project. And, if she's willing to do that, that says something. It's a burnt home.
And-
It's an ugly sight.
And I
It
think,
doesn't bring anything to Texarkana the way it looks.
You're gonna have to tell me everything he's saying. I can't hear
So-
anything.
I will.
You know, I'm just gonna say, I take my hat off to Natasha Freed and taking on that project. Because it's, like she said, I mean, that's a complete gut and rebuild.
Natasha, Randy said that hats off to you for taking on this project, because if somebody gave him this as a contractor, he would run away from it. I will also say, I believe there are pictures in your packets of the surrounding property. This is the only house, you know, within blocks that is abandoned and sitting empty. And
So this has been a black eye of that little area for many, many years. I did have Roger walk the house with me and my husband, and told me everything I needed to do, because I'm always wanting to do everything, you know, by the book, and meet code. And so Roger did that in the very initial start of this project. And yes, Randy, you're right. It is very challenging, but again, it's in a beautiful little pocket of our historical area, and you would believe all the neighbors that have come, and they're so excited, as you can imagine. You've lived by this for all these years, and it's just, you know, dragging down the value, and we want to make it great again. And is it going to be a headache and time and money? You bet. So that's why, you know, going back to speak of the windows and things like that, if I had an endless amount of money, I mean, wood would be great. We don't, and there's, like I said, so many other items on the house to bring it back to where it can be great again, and bring that little area back to where it should be. And first and foremost, to save it so it's not, you know, in 2 years we're all meeting about tearing it down. How sad would that be? So that's where I am. And what else do I need to say? That I'm crazy?
I have a few pictures. Could I show the members those, or you would?
yeah, do you have them?
On my phone. Is there a way you can show them on there?
Can you email them to me?
Was that a question? I'm sorry. I
Well,
didn't
I'm
hear you.
sorry, Greg said he had some pictures on his phone. He was asking if there was a way for me to show them. I think if he emails them to me, I can pull them up. Maybe.
Pictures from Greg or pictures from me?
No, from Greg.
Oh,
Send it
okay.
to your home, your house?
Huh?
Send it to your cell phone?
No, send it to my work email.
So I have a question. Can I?
While he's doing that, go ahead.
So, Natasha, what you're saying is that according to the assessment from everybody involved that you had look at this home, there's no way of reusing the windows or moving them to the front of the house or doing anything like that, that all of the windows are not usable?
Greg, hang on a minute, I'm gonna have you send them to Velvet. Natasha, Carmen's question was, in your opinion, there is no way to relocate the windows from the back of the house and move them to the front and make it work? Is that your-
Well, it's not just my opinion. Like I said, I had Pella, as we all know. They're a wonderful wood window manufacturer, come from Little Rock, and we looked at it a lot of different ways. And even to do just what she was stating would be very costly, and it just wasn't in the best interest for this project. Again, on the scale of the other items that have to be done to make this, again, a livable space.
Well, I think we might, but our keyboard is not working.
So this house, you know, what it looks like, It looks like they must have had wallpaper and details and it's all wrong. So it just has shiplap everywhere. And it has the trim around the windows. It's got some soot on the white paint. But unless, I'm sure the room that burned may need rebuilt, but the rest of the house, I mean, it just looks like really good. Did it come to her?
Well, the keyboard's not working. So I don't have any way to.
Do we have,
Is there a question, Jamie?
do we have pictures of the rest of the house? We're saying that the rest of the house is in good shape. I'm not seeing any pictures of that. All I'm seeing is what's destroyed.
Greg and Natasha, Greg was saying that it's his opinion that those windows could be saved, that it's not necessary to replace all of them. And Randy was asking if we had pictures from the inside of the house from the part that was not severely damaged. I don't have those.
I didn't submit those, no. I mean, I can get you some.
I mean, by looking at the pictures, we would assume that what we're looking at is the entirety of the house, and maybe we don't have a full picture here.
Well, that's what Greg was saying. He looked at all the house.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I'm
he's,
not trying to make it difficult. I
he
know
seems-
what it takes to rebuild a house,
Right.
to fix them up. I know that. But this doesn't sound like, I mean, I know that's burned, but the rest of the house doesn't look like. Even the dining room, which is connected to the living room that burned. Okay. Now you're looking at just raw wood with the paint off it. I think it's not a very good picture because it was through a screen.
Where is this?
This was his house.
That's your house?
before,
No, that's this house.
No, this house, right?
oh,
And that's the three windows side by side. I was looking through another window with the screen, so I couldn't, that's why it's blurred. But that's just paint off the wood. I mean, it's got soot. Show another,
Natasha,
see, that's, we're not talking a house that's, this is different room, that's just soot on the paint.
That's a door inside.
That's a door, yeah.
Okay.
Greg is showing some pictures
But that's
of
not-
the inside of the house.
I know,
That was
but I
not
didn't- I
the
only
most
see the
damaged
one-
part. Do you have access to your
And that's
email?
a door as well.
Yeah,
I'm in the car and I
Okay.
apologize. I
Okay.
can't
and there's a window with trim off of it.
those don't look
So I was
bad
gonna
at
say,
all.
pull that up right now.
But the wood's not burned, it's just, this is not even near that room, it's just the smoke damaged it. But those windows are just as firm as you can get a hold of. You couldn't buy a new pair of windows that were any stronger than those. I jerked on them, I took my fingernail and see if I could dig, if they were soft.
I see your
They're not.
point, yeah.
They're not.
So I guess my cryptic suspicious nature in terms of the establishment versus the historical is that, and not, this is nothing to say about Natasha. I know that she's absolutely going to make this place look amazing. But when you get the opinion and the references from a window, we've had that conversation here, from a window company in terms of replacing or reusing something that's maybe a little bit tainted, like it's been aforementioned, and putting something new. They always go for something new. I had a conversation with a window manufacturer about putting storm windows that would be adequate for that home close to you, Greg, off of Beach Street. And I said, do you have any of those? Excuse me. And he said, no, we don't have those. So all that he could supply, and I said, were the new windows. And I said, would it be less costly to put those appropriate storm windows over those existing antique windows, historical windows? And he said, yes. So my point is not to discredit anything that Natasha is trying to do, because honestly, she's legit. There is a
I'm sorry,
discrepancy.
I can't hear anything. It's like it's in a well.
Okay.
She will be here.
Hey, Natasha, can you hear me? Okay. So my point here is not to discredit anything of what you have in mind to do, because it's going to look excellent. I've seen your work. I know your integrity. But there may be a little bit of a question mark for me in my mind, not on you, but on, you mentioned that the window company walked through and gave you, their estimation. And from my experience, since I've been on this commission, plus just talking to people in general in terms of when you're a contractor or you're a rebuilder of historic, in historic preservation, there is always a discrepancy in their opinion as to work with what's older. I haven't been in the house, I haven't gone over to the house, but, I think that it's something that needs to be considered. If you have 4 windows that can, and I don't know how many there are, that can be actually moved, that can't possibly be as costly as replacing the entirety of all the windows. When you say cost-effective, I understand that, but cleaning up a window on the inside on areas that have not been burned at all, it's just smoke damaged, or maybe the paint's come off of them, or whatever, may be something that you may want to reconsider in this situation. Not that obviously, there's so much that needs to be replaced, but whatever is there, to go ahead and utilize it and replace it. Does that?
Of course, and that's what, I always do when starting a project, that has any of the historical integrity attached to it. So, some of the windows are not as bad as the others. You do want a home that you can raise windows. The majority of these, the weights have to be replaced, which I've done many times in other homes. But the cutting out and moving and the brick, cutting out the brick, changing up dimensions.
I think
I will
windows
tell
are,
you that it wasn't just Pella. It was, let's see, I'm thinking now, I think it was four window companies. And I understand what you're saying, that they just want to come in and go, oh, let's just do this. I also have a carpenter that's very, very good at working with old reclaimed wood, and it's been on several of my projects. So with all of that information gathered, I'm just telling the commission what we had to come to as far as being able to move forward and save the home. So it came down to this, do what you're speaking of, because whenever somebody comes in and has to grade, and you may have done the work yourself, I don't have that skill set. I'm not a carpenter, if you will, that can do that. So when someone comes in to do each window, it's very, very costly. Not to say that it can't be done, but the labor itself, because there's not a lot of people. I don't know if there's a handful of people in Texarkana that you can actually hire to work on these older homes and have the integrity with their work. Now, that's my experience. We go to somewhere like Jefferson, Texas, they're all over the place.
Right.
Because that's what they do there,
Right.
But it's very hard to find someone that will be tedious and take their time, and so whenever you do, there's a cost. I can assure you that we looked at every angle. Again, we couldn't just focus on just this one piece, because there's so many other pieces to this. So, what else do you guys need for me to provide for you? Because I want to be able to save this home.
What kind of time frame are we on?
Y'all all know what I do for a living as far as real estate, and we have such a shortage of homes on the Arkansas side.
No, we're not in
Such a
argument with any of
shortage of
that.
homes, and so I'm trying to create, homes, because what does everybody want? They want to be a homeowner, most people.
Right.
And that's what, we're trying to do. So, but I mean, I appreciate all of y'all's knowledge and expertise, and y'all have so much more than me because you've been working with this probably way longer than me. I have some, but I don't know all the answers, but I do know that I really tried to do that piece because it is important. The last house that we restored on Grand, there were 38 windows, and they were not as in bad of shape because that home had been occupied since 1900, the year 1900, which you could tell because when someone lives in a home, it preserves the home. But we were able to go in and most definitely, rework those. And of course, that home did not have as much. It had quite a bit, but not as much as this one. So this is where we are.
So Natasha, my point is, for instance, the exterior, I don't have such a vehement disregard for, painting brick or working with outside brick. I just don't. And I really like the look of what you want to do with that. I don't have a problem. The only thing that I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to sit down, is that if there's any possible way of finding someone to move the pre-existing windows that are actually salvageable and maybe transferring them or just repairing them where they're at, I would suggest that would be my preference. Otherwise, the rest of them, of course, they need to be replaced. There's no question in that. So that's my take on it, even if it does cost a little bit more. And as you well know, it's like, even though the house is a can of worms already, you're opening up a can of worms every time you start a project, and you know that better than most of us. But anyway, so I appreciate what you're doing, but that's my take on it, so.
And,
Thank you.
Natasha, one thing, I
Hold
don't
on,
mind
hold on, let me
showing-
pass the phone to you, so.
Natasha, I don't mind showing your builder or you how to replace those ropes, how to get the windows out. The paint's gone. It'll be easy to pull them off. You've already got some of the trim off around the windows. That's where the ropes are. They would be pretty easy to unstick and to make workable again. I mean, I don't mind showing your builder at all. I mean, you got a wonderful home there. I know you're going to make it beautiful. It's just that, if we don't do everything we can to save these old homes, even with the things that make them old, they just become a non-contributing house. And we've got so many in that area that are not original at all. They've had new windows. They've had things that aren't right on that will never make them contributing again. And you've got a little jewel box that's already never been touched. It's like a little jewel box as far as historically. It's not been altered. I mean, most of these houses, every time any of us buy a house, we change them a little bit, without even meaning to. We add a door, we add a garage on, we do something that makes them a little less original. And yours is sitting there, doesn't look like it's ever been added on to. Doesn't look like it's ever been changed. No, it didn't even have drywall in it. So I mean, it's pretty much like it was when it was built. And you just have an opportunity to make that place a showstopper for what it is that's original, that doesn't have all new windows. It won't look perfect.
We're gonna sure do our best, but, so you're saying you have someone that you can send me their information?
I can show you how to do them. I can show your builder.
Well, Greg, the thing of it is that, where the arches are,
So they're-
and
That's different. I
Yeah.
know, I had a
And then
house.
the windows that you pull from, I mean, you're gonna have to replace.
Well, that's what we're thinking, is if you, I think they're all the same size, the big windows. They're just, you could take
I
one
tell
out
you
of the
that
back
most of the
bedroom.
windows in the house were all different sizes. I did find that out.
Yeah. Well, I think the ones in the bedroom, in the back,
I think it needs
would
to be
fit in the
tabled
living room.
and get more information.
I mean,
I don't think we have enough information.
I think that's,
Well,
you know, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to delay you. I know it's hard waiting to get things done, but I just think we got something there that's worth waiting for. I mean, it's a good house. There's none in that block that's original. They've all been altered tremendously. And you have one that's just like the blue jewel box.
Randy, did you have a question?
What's that?
Did you have a question? You started?
I don't know if we have enough information. My recommendation is that we table this if the time allows, because we don't have enough information
Like, could we tour?
to vote on this right now, because I'm looking at pictures of a house destroyed, and then we see some more that's not. I think if time allows, that we table this, and let's look at it again. That way Natasha has enough time maybe to get with some other contractors, some other opinions, and let's look at this maybe next time, if the windows can wait, and typically windows can wait. So that would be my suggestion.
Would it be feasible to say that she could, and I understand she's chomping at the bit, time is money, and if she were able to get started on the ones that are like that rounded window and, you know, the ones that are literally burned out, and then leave those that are in salvageable shape where they are until we can have more discussion on them.
Well, before we take any kind of a motion, I need to ask, is there anyone in the audience that opposes this request? If not, then we can decide whether to do a
Let me say
motion or not.
something, too. I mean, obviously, these historic houses, these old houses, like you've had yours and we did it, and Natasha's done some, everybody here has done this type of stuff. And sometimes, like in this situation, looks like a lot of the windows are destroyed and gonna have to be replaced. And I understand saving 2 windows in the back might be really nice to do, but it's just gonna detract. I think it's gonna be ugly, in my opinion. It's not gonna match. It's gonna look even worse than it does if you replaced it, in my opinion. I think that,
Unless you know the exact sizes. No, it would be the same window.
but she spoke of the windows being different sizes.
We need to check
And,
that out.
and, okay, so, it just, in my opinion, replacing the windows is probably the best option for this house. Some houses it's worth saving, some houses it's not. This house, we're lucky to have her to even take on this project before it falls over. I wouldn't do it. Randy, you probably wouldn't do it. I don't know if a contractor would. Why would he? I mean, it's just money pit.
Well, if that's our rationale, why do anything?
Well, we're gonna save the structure.
If we're just gonna save the structure, why even have it historic?
Well, in my opinion, to find somebody else that's going to take on this project, we have somebody here, a hometown person here that says, okay, I see the jewel here, but I'm only, it's all business. I got X amount of dollars to put in this particular project. The chances of that house, as Natasha said, being torn down in the next 3 years, 2 years, we would be maybe voting on that. We're saving the structure. From the historical point of view, we're saving the structure. And if it was my house, I had purchased this as a project. I'm under this, I want energy efficient, low E windows. If I've got to replace some, I want it to all be uniform around the house. It's going to bring, I understand the historical point, but what we're saving there is the house itself. The structure, the entirety of the structure. That's just my opinion. So.
Can't always save every single detail. And it's true, we need to be consistent in our decision-making, but we also have to look at individual projects on their own merit and what's possible and what's not possible. And to be completely honest, I'm personally kind of on the fence in this particular one. I would love to see images of what is being suggested as the replacement. But, yeah, I mean, I do think that we need to be realistic sometimes in certain situations and look at the fact that, you know, we might lose this one little characteristic, but overall, the project will bring benefit to the neighborhood and preserve the character of the overall neighborhood. So that's something I think we all need to consider as well. We do need to look at each project as an individual project within the context of the overall guidelines we have and things of that nature. But, you know, like I said, we can't always save every single historical detail. And I say that as someone who would like to keep the doorknobs in place. I mean, you know, details down to that, but it's not always possible if you want to save the whole building.
All right. If there's nothing else, then we have a choice to make a motion to approve the request, deny the request, or table it. So I'm open to
I would
any
make a-
motions.
I'd make a motion to table it. More information.
Second.
All right, motion and second to table it. Would our recording secretary take a vote?
Let me just interject again, and we're talking how many windows here?
Natasha, how many windows?
How many total windows? 32.
32 windows, and there's how many that can be salvaged, maybe?
Well, like I said, from the expert's opinion that I got, and again, I put a lot of value in Pella. There was, I think, about 5 that you could operate. And that, again, that's coming from my Pella rep.
Can we go ahead and table those 5 and, for more information, as Randy suggested? And
Jamie,
we'll-
can you
Natasha's
take me off
obviously
for one
wanting
second?
to
It's echoing.
replace all the windows. That's her goal here. So to table that, what we're tabling this is that we get more information, right? Not that we okay something and not others. You either okay it or you don't okay it, because to me, that's not fair to Natasha to say, okay, we have to either do it all or nothing. So I, there again, make a motion to table the whole thing until we get more information and then go forward from there. That would be my suggestion.
Well, that's the motion we have
Okay.
on tabling it right there. And so that's what we're voting on. Okay.
Randy Henry, how would you vote?
Yes.
Jamie Simmons,
Yes?
Carmen Malden,
Yes.
Dave Jones.
Yes.
I'm assuming Natasha will recuse herself from voting.
Correct.
And Greg Gallagher
Yes.
and Chairman Danny Gordon.
Yes. All right, so we have voted to table that until our next meeting. And that will bring us to the next item on the agenda. We have a request by George, I'm not sure about this, Gowrie?
Gallery.
Gowrie? We have a request by George Gowrie about a mural on the wall of TLC Burgers. If you'll come to the podium, please, and state your name and address, and tell us about your request. We don't have anyone present from that?
Is there anyone here from TLC? Well, I will tell you what they want to do.
Okay, I don't know if we can do anything without the person present.
Well, you may. You all know where TLC is, Sanborn Maps. This building has always either been a drugstore or a restaurant. What George is requesting is to put this mural on the back of the building. And the thought process is that with the Grimm opening, that there will be more traffic downtown, and he wants something visible on the back of the building. The same gentleman that did the Dr. Pepper mural is doing this mural.
So that's going in the alleyway?
It's going right there.
Okay.
And there are, There's no murals over here, there's no murals on this block over here.
No, that's in the alley, isn't it, on the back of the
That
building?
is in the alley. This is the Omega building. Hopkins is right over here. So this is in the alley.
Isn't there an alley down the, is there a mural down the alley from that? Towards?
On the
Wood?
police department building.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's pretty far down.
Okay.
Is it that way or is it back?
No,
No, it is.
down,
Yeah, it's-
But it's
it's-
at the opposite end. So
Yeah,
they've
it's
got
two
a
or
whole
three
block
streets
between
down.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's nothing visible from here.
And also the mural on the police department building, you don't really see it until you're on it, because there's another building blocking it. This is, you can see it as you come down State Line.
Yeah, and it's, like I said, it's the same artist that did this one.
Okay. Any other questions?
Is that going to be black and white as? we
No,
do?
it'll be color, and I just don't have a color, but it will, they have told me it will be in the same family as this one, so they will match.
And is that the original sign that's on TLC? Is there? What's that, what is that sign? That's what I'm,
There isn't one.
That was,
Where is it one?
okay. Where did
Yeah,
that?
there's nothing there now.
There's a Dr. Pepper sign around the
On the
corner, on the
side.
sidewalk.
I guess is what I'm asking, where did that sign that we have a picture of, where is that from?
This
Is it-
one?
Yeah.
This is the artist, this is an original
That's
artist.
a mock-up.
Yes,
That's
a
okay.
mock-up, yeah.
Very well.
This is the mock-up of
It's
what
very
you want.
good, yeah.
Right.
okay. All right, is there anyone in the audience that opposes this issue? If not, if you want to take a vote on this, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve the application as
I
written.
second.
All right, we have a motion, a second, to approve the application. If our secretary will take the vote, please.
Randy Henry,
Yes.
Jamie Simmons,
Yes.
Carmen Bolden,
Yes.
Dave Jones,
Yes.
Greg Gallagher, and Chairman Dane.
Okay, thank
Danny,
you.
it's your turn, yeah.
Did you?
You gotta vote.
Oh, yes. I thought we went through. Okay. Now, are we ready to go on to the next item? We have a request by David Jones about expanding the restaurant operation into the property to the east and upgrading the facade to
I'm just
include
gonna let
new
David-
windows and doors.
I'm gonna let David do
Finally,
this.
someone's here. David Jones, 39 Brookside Drive. We bought the other half of Hopkins a little more than a year ago and had plans to expand into the building. As of this point, we have started doing that. We put the new awning up, the new sidewalk, and it's time for new doors and windows. The existing doors was a garage door that was pushed in like a sliding barn door, which is, I'm going to save it, I'm just not going to use it outside. I need to do an ingress egress at that point so customers can come and go. The rest of the windows have been replaced by the previous owner with vinyl windows that are just screwed into the wall. So those will all come out. I'll rebuild the wood that's been destroyed around the old windows, and then put some new windows in the place, in those holes.
Okay, any questions from the commission?
So you're putting a garage door, I'm sorry,
No, it's gonna look like a garage door, but it's gonna have doors. So customers
Oh, I
come
see what
walk
you're
in and
saying.
out.
right.
It's going to be a pull down.
No, it will look like a garage door, it will not actually be a garage door.
Right, you'll just be able to open it up. Okay.
You know, that building there is, for us who grew up here in Texarkana, that was a very special building this time of year. That's where we used to always go get our colored chicks when we were kids, so.
And if I'm not mistaken, this picture is from
Chick Day.
Yeah,
Chick-
that's what I was
Well,
thinking.
that picture right there was a little after my time, or a little before my
Right.
time.
Right.
Yeah, that's what they're lined up for, is to get the chickens.
It's going to be beautiful, Dave.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
And there's an old OK seed. It's not in that, there it says something else, back when it was a different, but I was gonna put the Hopkins logo instead on that place. At this point, I think so, yeah. I mean, they don't look very good, they're old, and I'm not a feed store, and I'm not a green age stamp guy anymore, so we might paint over those as well, but I'll come forward if we decide
those are
to paint over
painted-
that.
they're
Yeah,
painted
just
on the
painted
surface?
brick.
Are you talking
You know,
about the
as per prehistoric. Historic value, you might want to take a photo of it and then actually make a poster out of it to
Yeah.
display on the inside.
Yeah, I like that. We already have like that picture there on the wall and several others.
Okay, any other questions? All right, is there any opposition from anyone in the audience to this agenda? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to accept it as written.
Second.
We have a motion, and a second, to approve this request, and our secretary will take the vote.
Randy Henry,
Yes.
Jamie Simmons,
Yes.
Carmen Malden,
Yes.
Greg Gallagher,
Yes.
and Jeremy Gore.
Yes.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, that brings us to item number 6. We have a request for a certificate of appropriateness for design approval for renovations to 324 East Broad by Lamisa Reed. If you come forward and give us your name and address and explain this.
Let me go over these slides real quick, Danny.
Okay.
This is the Cross Ties property, and it is the black and white part of the property and the part that was originally the Cotton Belt office. Sanborn maps, it's over the years been a little bit of everything, but most recently, before Cross Ties, it was Moore's Furniture for years. So the the front renovations would be to this part, unless things have changed. And then the rear, this is the design, this is a rolling glass door.
Correct.
Like a garage door. And this is a walk-through door. Now, I could not find any pictures of this originally, but over the years, it has been many things. So my assumption, and Jamie might can chime in on this, is that there was at some point a door in this building. Because,
You mean on the
Well-
back?
huh?
You mean on the back?
No, on the
No,
front.
you have to get into it
Because
somewhere.
over the years, it's been a doctor's office and,
Oh, yeah, it had the typical, like, showroom, window entry, from what I remember, what I have seen of it.
because,
But it was like the standard doors. that you would
yeah.
see.
So what's there has already been changed from the
Yes,
original.
this is not original.
Yeah.
This is not original, and it most likely originally had a door like this, and so,
So the roll-up door is going to be on the back?
no, it'll be on the front.
Okay.
It will replace these,
Yeah, if you go to the, right here, in this area right here, is where the roll-up door will be, and there'll be a walk door here, and the roll-up door will be on this side.
And the roll-up door is going to be glass?
All glass, yes.
So it look like windows when it's closed?
Correct.
and then on the back of the property, and this would be on the Cotton Belt office part, on the rear of the property, they are asking to construct 2 balconies with what I call patio doors. And
That's, yeah, that's gonna be right up here.
And are those iron, is the plan for those to be iron?
Correct, because the other, when you build over here, it's a match.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because
Make it all,
we've already got iron here, and we've got iron down here.
and y'all uniform across the back.
Well, I know this is not included in that, but I'm curious, are you going to retain that white paint on the front? I noticed in the picture, the rest of it is sort of a different color, but the white sort of stands out.
You talking about on the white right here?
Yeah.
Under the awning.
I mean, that's not a consideration, I know,
No, the whole
in your
building.
request. I was just curious as to whether,
Yes, plan on keeping the white the way it is.
okay.
So what are you doing with this building with a big roll-up door?
Well, make it more inviting to, so this is a bar area here. The only way you can access it right now is to come in here, go in through the concert area, and go into that bar area, which got the open doors. Well, on events that they have downtown, where they're trying to get more people downtown, if they can, on nice days, days like today, you could open that glass door, make it more inviting for people to come in and out.
And put little tables out?
They put up tables outside or something like that. And also, on the days that they have that door closed, make it accessible. They can come in and utilize the bar area, because right now, you can't utilize it right now. You have to go in through, and what they want to do is section off this area over here from, access, for anybody going in there. They just want to just come into this bar area here, come in and get a drink. And now that we have the entertainment district downtown, you can walk in, get a drink, come out and meander it up and down the street, and make it more inviting for people to come in and out and want to be downtown more.
I can see it would be a problem to have to go into another building to get into that one.
Correct, yes, that's what I was saying, it
Yeah.
is such a, neat idea, and it's all gonna be glass anyway, so you're not really gonna have a big different look than what
Right.
you have now, and this is not really original anyway, so
Right.
what they have it planned is gonna be very inviting and look very good, so it's,
Are you going to put an awning over that area? Do you have an awning over your main building?
no.
These buildings didn't have awnings.
Oh, I was just,
Now,
you
what-
could easily put an awning. I was just
Yeah, now,
wondering.
here's another thing that we were gonna, and I would like to ask this question while you all are here. And we'll present this at another meeting, is, so, you know how in New Orleans, when you're walking down the streets, you have the balconies above? Is there any opposition if we were to present putting a balconies above these areas right here?
I would object,
You would?
yeah.
Okay.
I'm less inclined to object to the ones on the back because, you have fire escapes in the back, things like that. The front, that's completely inappropriate
Okay.
for where we are in that district.
Okay, it's just, it was just a question that they had
Yeah,
been
no,
brought up.
the back, like I said, it's less inappropriate because first of all, there's one on the other building already,
Right.
but also the back of the buildings is where you would find things like that,
Correct.
around here at least.
I know at one time in Texarkana, there were that New Orleans-style balconies on several buildings as well, though. I don't
Yeah.
know about these, but
Well, and not really downtown though. I mean,
yeah, they were downtown,
there,
as far as I remember.
now I'm remembering one, but that came along much later. This is part of the Commercial Historic District, which is the oldest part of the city, both sides. These buildings, and first of all, what used to be the main part of Moore's, that was started out as a warehouse, so it never would have had anything like that, regardless, because it was always like a warehouse-style building, was built to be that. And then the office buildings, and like I said, the back, I wouldn't object to, because I don't think, from the point of view of the historical context of those buildings, it's not inappropriate. I just think that that's not appropriate for this particular part of the historic district, because of the fact that these are some of the oldest buildings still downtown. These particular buildings are not all the oldest buildings, but that district is the Commercial Historic District because.
But if you're trying to attract people downtown, just like New Orleans, the buildings that they have balconies on now didn't have years ago. They added those on later to attract people to come down in that area and to be, and that's what we're doing, you know, you're tailoring downtown to be more of a place, a destination place for people to come down and enjoy and hang out and so forth. And I just thought, we were just thinking that it might be a kind of a neat, you know, nostalgic kind of a, you know, area to, if you want to bring people down, because they can sit up there and watch parades and, you know,
Oh,
see
and
the
I get
events and
that,
things like
yeah.
that.
And I get that from the, especially from the business point of view there, but I'm speaking specifically from my point of view, being on this commission. I would oppose it.
Well, just-
I can't speak for everybody, I'm speaking for myself.
Well, I consider New Orleans my hometown, so they weren't, those balconies weren't put up in my lifetime, so, and I'm old.
Well,
So
just
they've
to-
been around for for many, many years, so that's already part of the historic value of that. Now, if you want to pretty it up, and I understand your point, I totally, you know, I think, oh, it would look so cute, no doubt. But again, that's not what we're here to do. But awnings, and I wasn't trying to bring that up for any particular purpose when I did a few minutes ago, but awnings would look awesome.
Yeah, and that's probably something that would, you know, once, to cover this area, you know, with the doors open and stuff like that, you know, an awning.
And I don't know what you have on your upstairs, on those windows area, on the upstairs on the main building.
These here?
Yeah.
They're
And
just solid
that's, again, that's
block.
a whole different, I'm sorry?
They're just solid block. I mean, they're like a
It's the
Glass block.
category.
glass block, like
Yeah.
it's a opaque glass block.
Oh, okay. Because if you wanted to also do that, you could move over to replicate the look of the other two buildings and apply that to redoing those windows, which would, and then maybe do something that would be pretty attractive underneath
Well-
the trim, but
Just to clarify, the only thing we're considering today is just the replacement
Yeah.
there on the
Correct,
white
yeah, the
building.
balconies on the back. I would just throwing it out there just to see
Yeah.
what kind
No,
of, you know,
yeah.
just while we're here, just as a question, am I, you know, wasting
no,
my
we
time
appreciate
or-
that,
or am I,
yeah,
you know-
absolutely.
Okay, but we're back to this
Yeah.
item here about the front. Any more questions about
Yeah, the glass,
this?
yeah, the glass door, you know, roll it, and like I said, again, it's all glass, and then this will be glass also, you know, all glass.
All right. Now, is there anyone in the audience that has opposition to this? Okay, hearing none then, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion passed as written.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to pass this as it's written. And if our secretary will take the vote?
Randy Henry,
Yes.
Jamie Simmons,
Yes,
Carmen Malden,
Yes.
Dave Jones,
Yes.
Natasha, Greg Gallagher,
Yes.
and Chairman Gordon.
Yes.
Did you need my name? I didn't say it ahead of time.
Do we need him to state his name?
Yes, your address.
Mike Rogers, 6912 Sugar Hill Acres Drive, representing Cross Ties. I'm the contractor with Rogers Construction.
Thank you.
Obviously, you're not La Mesa Reed. All right. We have one more item in the back of our packet. Maybe we need to hear from you, Jamie, on that?
Yes, so if you remember back, I think in December, Ms. Lowe had come to us with an issue of people parking in their front yards in front of the build line in the historic district. And she had drafted a resolution. So in your package, you have an ordinance that I have drafted. There are some things in here that this part up here is just defining what is a front yard and a side yard and a backyard. I will tell you, because this has come up, if you put a fence right here and fence all of this in, this is still considered your side yard. Just because we had somebody that said, I'm going to put a fence in and incorporate that into my backyard and put a storage unit there, and we're like, no, you're not. Because it's still a side yard, whether it's fenced in or not, it's still a side yard. So one of the issues that we have run up against in the past is the definition between a motor vehicle, a trailer, a camper, and an RV. A motor vehicle is self-propelled, designed to carry people, cars, trucks, motorcycles, ATVs, things like that. A trailer has no power, it's just towed. Camper is a portable structure, it's built on a chassis, and it's designed as a temporary dwelling. A recreational vehicle is the same thing, except it's self-propelled. So Winnebagos are recreational vehicles, they're not campers. Fifth wheels are campers, they're not recreational vehicles. And this has all come up because for insurance purposes, they are all defined differently. So that's what that definition is. So our ordinance would state that no motor vehicle, camper, trailer, or RV could be parked in front of the front build line. With these exceptions, you may park up there for 30 minutes for loading and unloading. And this is city ordinance. If you have a paved area or a driveway that comes off the street, so it starts at the street and goes up into your side yard, you can park a motor vehicle, a car or a truck, in front of your build line, long as it's in that driveway. You cannot park a camper, RV, or trailer in front of the build line, period. But you can park a car or truck long as it's in that driveway. Most
This is for loading and unloading? I
No,
mean,
no,
what do
no,
you?
that's the city ordinance. No,
I mean,
these are
That
two
is a
different
city
things.
ordinance,
You
okay.
can park in your front yard for 30 minutes to load and unload. A separate exception is if you have a driveway that comes off of the street, you can park a car or truck or motorcycle in front of your build line, long as it's in that driveway,
Oh, I see that.
okay?
No, that's just for
No,
loading
that's
and
another
unloading.
one. Yeah, this is the next one. The
Yeah.
loading and unloading is 30 minutes. The paved areas are driveways.
Side yard, and this is city ordinance, you can park a camper, trailer, or RV in your side yard, but it has to be behind your front build line. So you can park it beside your house in what's considered your side yard here, it cannot extend, and that is city ordinance.
So right now, the way it stands, you cannot pull an RV, which you can drive, in front of the, in it, you have a driveway, but you cannot park it in the driveway. We're talking like a big Greyhound bus.
You can park it, no, you can park it in the driveway in your side yard. You cannot park it in front of your front build line.
It says paved areas or driveways in case where a driveway or paved area begins at the street or curb and extends to the front yard and the side yard or backyard, motor vehicles shall be allowed to remain parked
Motor vehicles, which are different.
in the
from
driveway
RVs
or
and
paved
campers.
areas,
Cars and trucks.
and no campers, trailers, RVs.
And this is just common sense. Alleys, you can't block an alley. You can't block access to your neighbor's property. And now this came up because and I think we had talked about this, and I added this after the packets went out. We are going to have people and circumstances where people may need to temporarily use their front yard. And this came up, say, you've got a funeral, and you've got people coming to your house. There may be situations where there is a circumstance that they may need to use their front yard for parking for some exceptional reason. In those cases, they would be allowed to come to us, or not y'all, but they would be able to come to me and get a letter saying, for no more than 3 days, you can use your front yard. And, I mean, we're not going to do this routinely, but we just need to acknowledge there may be times when there is a legitimate need to use it on a temporary basis.
But they would have to get permission first.
They'd have to come and get a letter. Yeah, they'd get a letter, and I would notify code enforcement. Now, we've talked about this. I'm not going to lie to y'all. Enforcement is going to be an issue.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, there's people that will comply just because it's an ordinance now. But I'm going to be honest with you. And then the way this penalty works, we've made it punishable by a fine of $50 a day. But the way this works is we can only issue them a citation. The circuit judge is who imposes the fine. So we do not have the ability to fine them. But if the circuit judge decides, then the penalty is $50 a day. So I'm going to let, if Diane has anything to add.
So, Jamie, I just have a question. So this already passed, or this is?
Y'all have to approve this, and then it will go to the board.
Okay. Well, I just want to volunteer to say I'll do anything to get people there and support there when it does go before the city directors. So,
Diane, you were working on a petition.
yes, I haven't continued that petition. Do you want me to continue petitioning people?
I think that'd be a good point to
Okay.
offer.
I think, and the reason I say this is because, and I think I told you this before, we have one board member who is adamant about not allowing parking in the street. He attempted to ban street parking in the entire city. And some of these people obviously do not have driveways or backyards. I mean, they have no choice except to park
Right.
in the street. So I think anything we can get that will support this, and I don't know, he may not oppose it because it's only in the historic districts, but that has been a bone of contention. So I think anything we can get, and the soonest I can get it on the board calendar is the third Monday in April.
okay.
So I can, and so if we pass this tonight, I'll go ahead and submit it, and we'll get it on the agenda.
Okay, I'll continue with the petition.
Okay, so can you catch us up on the original petition? And did you bring that to the board? And didn't something happen with that petition already?
When I came the first time, I brought a petition that I had started.
Right.
And I limited it to just the Smith-Burke district. And, but I think, because we're talking about all historic districts, it was recommended that I expand that
So
petitioning.
nothing's been voted on or considered or anything in terms of that petition as yet?
No.
Okay.
All right. Just my opinion, but I think this is something we've needed forever.
The only thing I don't like is the 30 minutes, if you're loading or unloading. That's pretty quick, especially if I'm moving,
Yeah, I was
Moving to
thinking
a
the same
house.
thing.
and I'm moving big furniture. It's like,
Oh, I would think moving,
Time me for
I-
30 minutes?
no, I think
Yeah, no.
I go
moving,
get an old load,
Yeah,
I
it's
come
probably an
back.
all-day job.
well, maybe we could improvise that for a day.
Huh?
I mean, if you're moving, usually it takes a day
Yeah. maybe.
if you're moving in or
Yeah.
out, so,
Depends who's
I
moving, yeah.
agree. Is there any way of reframing that?
I would say
Just-
maybe
just-
instead of 30 minutes, like overnight, like you're moving, something like that, as long as you don't leave something there overnight. It needs to be parked in an appropriate place for night.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that was the only thing I had.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that, too.
So we want it to be for loading and unloading, and you can't leave it there overnight.
Can't leave it overnight.
So
You
we're
can.
not going to say.
You can leave it there overnight. If I have a, did you say you can?
Yeah.
You can't.
Overnight, you should park it the next
Somewhere
day.
else?
Yeah,
Well,
you
it
could-
could be in the street, I don't know.
Yeah, you could come back the next day.
Well, that's what
to
we're talking
finish
about. We're
it,
talking
yeah.
about the street. So if I have a U-Haul and I'm moving and it's, 36 foot or whatever, and obviously I won't be done. And so I have to move that, but where am I gonna move it?
Well, I guess what you do
Well,
in that
they
case is
come to us.
you get special permission
They
to
have
park.
Special circumstances, they come to us and say,
Well, I don't want it parked in the yard. Is that what you're talking about?
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about the yard, the front
Parking
yard.
in your yard.
Oh, no, they don't need to park in the yard.
Right. So
Oh, no.
Yeah, so,
overnight would be considered parking.
yeah, so
Right.
no parking
Oh,
overnight.
not in the yard, no. They would have to pull it off on the street.
but we are only making that exception for loading and unloading.
Right.
Right,
Right.
Yes.
right.
So they can have it parked there for loading and unloading during the day, but it must be moved at night.
Right.
And if for some reason they can't move it at night, they can come to us and get a
Get a
letter.
letter, right.
saying, okay.
Yes.
Yes,
Reasonable.
Yeah, I think that's a lot
that
reasonable.
works.
That's who's gonna sell through the stopwatch in time.
Okay.
No, enforce the
Yeah, and you won't have it. But if it's there the next day, you might say, hey,
Well, there will be some, like I said, there will be people that will abide by it because it's an ordinance. And it also gives us something to stand on if their neighbors call us and complain, because right now, you know, we got nothing, so.
There you go. Well, I could see you getting calls every 30 minutes. If it was 30 minutes.
Especially if you have a neighbor that doesn't like you.
Yeah.
Now, from the way I'm taking this here, even though it's originally Smith Burke District, this would be any historic district, right?
That's what we decided.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. So these are just in historic districts, and any other questions?
I did notice that the house sits on Laurel, was it like 21st, 100 block, where he used to pull that truck up alongside. He doesn't do it anymore.
He doesn't.
So I think sometimes just people's conversations make people aware, and they're like, gosh, I never thought about how terrible that looks sitting,
Yes.
because it's not there anymore. It's in the driveway. it
Or on
should
the
be.
street.
Yeah, but not in the yard.
Well, since this is not a normal item that's brought by a person, what do we need, how do we need to handle this?
We need,
Yeah, we need to
we need a
approve it.
Okay,
motion to
with that one change?
accept it with the one change
Okay,
Yeah.
regarding loading and unloading.
all right.
Well, I make a motion we approve it with that one change,
Second.
overnight instead of 30 minutes.
All right, I have that motion and second. Would you take the vote?
Randy Henry,
Yes.
Jamie Simmons,
Yes.
Carmen Malden,
Yes.
Dave Jones,
Yes.
Greg Gallo,
Yes.
and Chairman Gordon.
Yes. So you have it?
Thank y'all for your patience today. I just got three little things I want to throw out here. If any of you missed it, Velvet is taking Jody's place. She has a background in historic preservation.
So
and-
happy to see you, Velvet.
Taught to me by Jamie Simmons. Everything I know about history, I know from Jamie.
Be frightened.
We have a vacancy on the Planning Commission, so if any of you know of anyone that you think would be a good fit for the Planning Commission, please get in touch with me. And I also wanted to let you know, and Velvet's working on this, Preserve Arkansas puts out a list of the most endangered historical sites in the state, and Velvet has submitted a nomination to try to get the Orr School on that list. So we're working on that, and she's trying to get a hold of the people that own it. So we're working on that. So I don't have anything else. Yes?
I just have a question.
Yeah.
So I was checking on the meetings, and it's actually across the street from Velvet's house. So Velvet lives behind me, and across the street from Mr. Brewer's
Are you talking about
house.
the storage building?
Yeah,
She is working on moving.
okay,
She has
She's,
already been issued a letter, and she's been given 3 weeks to get it done.
okay. I didn't know if it was approved. Okay, that was
She
it.
did not come to us, but
Okay.
And I know-
she is the one that was going to fence in her side yard and incorporate it into her.
and she reached out to me for contact information for the neighbor behind her, so I know she's actively working.
Okay. All right, sorry.
Okay.
No, it's good. Thank you for what you're doing.
Any other word or announcement? If not, I'll entertain a motion for dismissal.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All right. Go ahead, take a vote.
Randy Henry,
Yes.
Jamie Simmons,
Yep.
Carmen Malden,
Yeah.
Dave Jones,
Yes.
Greg Gallo,
Yes.
Chairman Gordon.
Yes, so we'll consider this meeting adjourned.